So I've seen reports here stating that Joyce, who will be fighting on Chris Eubank Jr. and James Degale Undercard at the O2 on February 22nd, it's looking likely now that his opponent is actually going to be Bermane Stiverne. Now, that is an opponent that I would not have thought I would have heard. I don't think Stiverne's had a fight since he got knocked out by Wilder there in 2017, which is not exactly new. Stiverne is very, very, very inactive. Boy, yeah, I did not really see this coming. I really did think that that was the end of it for Stiverne after that knockout by Wilder. It was a bad knockout. And I thought that he'd been out of the ring for, I think, 2 years at the time? I know he was meant to fight Povetkin in 2016. That didn't go through for obvious reasons. But, yeah, he was out of the ring for 2 years and he fought Wilder, got dealt with decisively. And, yeah, I thought he sailed off into the sunset. But obviously, he wants one final crack, maybe one final payday. And he's going to take on, well, allegedly, he's going to take on Joyce. At this stage in Stiverne's career, he is, 40 years old? Maybe he's definitely in his late 30s. I think he 37, 38, maybe even older. He's pushing 40. He took a horrible, horrible beating against Wilder in the first fight. He was down and struggled with Derek Rossi, a journeyman, after that, and he was legit down. He was saying it was a trip. No, there's videos on YouTube of that knockdown. It was a knockdown. He was dropped by a right hand, I think. And then he took 2 years out of the ring and fought Deontay Wilder. Wilder didn't land a punch and got knocked out, got dropped 3 times and got knocked pretty much out cold. So, I'm not really... This is not a fight that... Ian Lewison was a better opponent than Stiverne, I think, for Joyce. And Ian Lewison was Joyce's first professional fight. And he, I think, at this stage, has less miles on the clock than Stiverne, has probably more in the tank left than Stiverne. He's technically better than Stiverne, to be fair, because Stiverne, he's a good boxer, but he's a terrible, terrible front foot fighter. He likes fighting on the back foot. And, he's slow. He plods around the ring because he's, way overweight, way out of shape. And the only thing Stiverne has is he has good punching power. Does he have enough power to hurt Joyce? If he lands that left hook or a straight right hand, yeah, I'm sure he could. He's a good puncher, Stiverne, but really, at this stage, I don't think that this fight's going to last too long. I think Joyce will dispatch of Bermane Stiverne with relative ease. But it is a good name. And, had Deontay Wilder not rematched Stiverne and knocked him out in the first round, then it'd be a good little, it'd be a good little kind of yardstick to see where he's at, Joyce. If I remember correctly, didn't Joyce spar Stiverne for the Wilder fight? And actually, I think actually might have been... Hang on a second, I'll just check. Yeah, Joyce said he knocked the dreadlocks off Stiverne in sparring, and that he was as slow as anything. Okay, so yeah, they sparred apparently for the Deontay Wilder fight, the rematch in 2017, and from the sound of things, it looks like Joyce got the better of that. So you can imagine Stiverne's not much better now, and I think Joyce has improved since then. So yeah, I don't really see this fight being, massively competitive, but it is a good name for Joyce to have. He's got a former world heavyweight champion on his resume, a weak one, but still former champion. And yeah, it's a nice little step. So it's a comeback fight to the UK for Joyce. He's been in the US for his last 2 fights, and he's knocked out Joe Hanks and I forget the other guy's name. But yeah, I think Al Heyman and Joyce are going to be, definitely are going to. I think Joyce is going to be flying the flag for Al Heyman in the UK because he's a heavyweight. He's an Olympic silver medalist. And, his style is pretty horrible to watch. He is very slow. He doesn't look great, Joyce. He really doesn't. But yet, I think if I was to call Joyce a prospect at this stage, which I do, if you were to give me a list of my top 5 prospects, believe it or not, I'd have Joyce number 1. I think Joyce he's talented. He's talented in the sense that the style he has works so well for him. He's very heavy-handed. He clearly has a good chin. And he's athletic. For a big guy in his early 30s, he is quite athletic. And yeah, I think Joyce, he's a bit of a diamond in the rough, I think, in the heavyweight division. You really don't know what to make of him. But yeah, no, I think this will be an interesting fight if it gets made. And yeah, I'd expect Joyce to win probably early. And I think he'll probably take Stiverne out. Yeah, I think he'd take him out relatively early in the first 4 to 5 rounds, I reckon. So anyway, I don't know if this fight's going to get announced. But if it does, that's what I think. And yeah, if you want to leave your thoughts down below, feel free.